Hello, my dear students. Welcome you all to Sri Jaindra Rank Zone classes. I am your mentor and your friend for the subject biology, and I will be taking the zoology part, that is animal science. My dear students, in the last video, in the last lecture, we started about the ear, which is a phonoreceptor or an organ of hearing and balance. So, in the continuation with the same topic, we will discuss today about the internal ear, as we have started the internal ear in the last turn, but I think we have covered till Resner's membrane, okay, which is the part of cochlea. So discussing with the same cochlear apparatus, I will start with the basilar membrane. Basilar membrane, it is present at the base of scala media. Present at the base of scala media. It is thicker than Resner's membrane, and it separates scala media to scala tympani, right? So the basilar membrane helps to separate scala media and scala tympani. Okay, it is thicker than Resner's membrane. Now, modulus. Next term is modulus. It is a bony core around which a spiral canal, a bony spiral canal of cochlea is present, and make two 3/4 turns in humans. Okay, so it is a basically modulus is a bony structure. It is a bony spiral canal. Okay, which makes two 3/4 turns. Helicoderma I have already explained. Okay, tectorial membrane. It is a leaf-like gelatinous structure leaf-like gelatinous structure present at the dorsal side of organ of Corti. At the dorsal side of organ of Corti. Okay. So tectorial membrane is a leaf-like gelatinous structure which is present at the dorsal side of organ of Corti. Next is organ of Corti. It was discovered by Italian anatomist Alfonso Corti. Okay, Alfonso Corti. He is the discoverer, Italian anatomist. Okay. It is also known as ridges of Corti. Organ of Corti is also known as ridges of Corti. Present on basilar membrane. Present on basilar membrane. Organ of Corti contains variety of cells. Contains variety of cells. They receive nutrients from endolymph. So organ of Corti receive nutrients from endolymph. Okay. And there are different types of cells of organ of Corti which are present. Okay. So it is also known as ridges of Corti, organ of Corti, which is present on the basilar membrane. Okay. The organ of Corti contains different types of cells which receive stimuli from receive nutrients from endolymph. Okay. So in the next slide, this slide, I will be talking about the different types of receptor cells of organ of Corti. These cells are known as what? Hair cells. They are of two types: inner hair cells outer hair cells. Okay. Inner hair cells, they are present in one layer, around 3500 in number. The outer hair cells, they are present in 2 to 3 to 4 rows, 20,000 in number. Okay. These receptor cells or hair cells, the outer hair cells, hair of outer hair cell extends into scala media and embedded in roof-like tectorial membrane. And embedded in a roof-like tectorial membrane. So the hair of outer hair cells, which are present in 3 to 4 rows, which are around 20,000 number, they extends into the scala media and embedded in roof-like tectorial membrane. Okay. The inner hair cells, They respond to the velocity of movement. Velocity of movement of the basilar membrane. Of the basilar membrane. The inner hair cells, they mainly respond to the velocity of movement of the basilar membrane, while the outer hair cells are mainly concerned with are mainly concerned with outer hair cells are mainly concerned with the displacement of basilar membrane by the sound waves. The displacement of the basilar membrane by the sound waves. Okay. So outer hair cells, inner hair cells. The outer hair cells, they are mainly concerned with the displacement of the basilar membrane by the sound waves. Inner hair cells, they are respond to the velocity of movement of basilar membrane. Okay. Hair cells have a basal body just under the hair. Hair cells have a basal body, okay, which facilitates the transduction of mechanical signal to mechanical signal to neural signal. Mechanical signal to neural signal, that is electrogenesis. Electrogenesis. Okay. So the basal body, it facilitates the transduction of mechanical signals into neural signals. That is, it helps in electrogenesis. These are the functions of hair cells or receptor cells. Now we will talk about the supporting cells. Okay, the supporting cells. Supporting cells, they support hair cells and they rest on basilar membrane. They support hair cells and they rest on basilar membrane. Basilar membrane. These supporting cells, they help to provide nutrients, help to provide nutrients and physical support to the hair cells. Okay. Supporting cells, they are not involved in transduction of signals. They are not involved in the transduction of signals. Okay. Then comes the tectorial membrane. Tectorial membrane, it is a fibrous and gelatinous flap. Gelatinous tissue. So it is fibrous and made up of gelatinous tissue. Okay. The outer part is known as what? Reticular lamina, which is supported by rods or corti. Okay. Then peripheral membrane. Peripheral membrane. This membrane is having restricted elasticity. Elasticity is restricted. Okay, has restricted elasticity, which is in response to low to high frequencies. Okay, now then comes the mechanism of sound perception. Wait. So mechanism of sound perception is the process that how sound waves, the mechanical waves are converted into the neural signals. As we have discussed about the pathway of sound wave transfer. Okay, we got to know that middle ear, internal ear specifically is very important for the conversion of these mechanical receptors or mechanical impulses into the neural signals. Okay, now the mechanism of sound perception. Von Bensky, he won the Nobel Prize for his work on ear. The mechanism found in ear involved two unrelated functions. The mechanism found two unrelated functions. And these two unrelated function is one is the hearing and the second one is balance. Okay. Human ear mainly consists of utriculus plus sacculus, which helps in the static balance. Your utriculus and sacculus of human ear, okay, they help in the static balance. They help in static balance. Okay. Then semicircular canals, for dynamic balance. And then cochlea, organ of hearing. So these steps, these three different parts of the ear, they help in different functions. Okay, first we will talk about the mechanism which includes hearing. The ear not only detects the sound but also detects the direction, okay, judges its loudness and determine its pitch. Helps to judge the direction of sound waves. Okay, then loudness, then pitch. Okay, the frequency by which the sound waves are collected by the pinna and directed inwards through the external auditory meters. External auditory meters at a frequency of 430 cycles per second. Okay, so this is the frequency of the sound waves which are basically, okay, directing towards the external auditory meters. 430 cycles per second. Okay. Now, these sound waves they strike the tympanic membrane. Okay, these sound waves they strike the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane vibrates at the same frequency of the sound waves. These vibrations of the tympanic membrane are transmitted across the tympanic cavity. Vibrations of tympanic membrane are passed through tympanic cavity. They are passed through tympanic cavity. With the help of ear ossicles, with the help of ear ossicles to the membrane of the fenestra ovalis. Okay, the tympanic membrane transmitted the vibrations to tympanic cavity. Okay, this transmission carried out with the help of ear ossicles. Okay, to the membrane of fenestra ovalis. The force of the vibrations is considerably increased in the middle ear. Amplification of sound waves. Amplification of sound waves. This amplification of sound waves, it gets increased in the middle ear. Increase in the middle ear. The frequency is 2400 cycles per second after getting increased. ठीक है? This is the amplification of sound wave which takes place in the middle ear with the help of ear ossicles, leverage of the ear ossicles. So these ear ossicles help in the amplification of the sound waves. Now, the enhanced frequency of the sound waves, it basically proven important because the sound waves are transmitted from air to the fluid medium. So that's why their frequency is to be enriched. Okay. The fenestra ovalis, the membrane of the fenestra ovalis, transmit the vibrations to the perilymph. Membrane of fenestra ovalis secretes action. Right. Okay. Membrane of fenestra ovalis. Okay. Helps to transmit the vibrations to the perilymph. The vibrations to the perilymph of the scala vestibuli. Of the scala vestibuli. And hence via resinous membrane to the endolymph in the scala media. From here, the vibrations are transferred to the basilar membrane and the perilymph of scala tympani. So basically, the membrane of fenestra ovalis helps to transmit the vibrations to the perilymph of scala vestibuli. Okay. From scala vestibuli, they move to resonance membrane to endolymph in the scala media. Okay, so these vibrations they move to scala media. Okay, that is endolymph through resonance membrane. Okay, now from scala media, the vibrations are transferred to the basilar membrane. And the perilymph scala tympani. Okay, so this is the flowchart of movement of sound vibrations in the internal ear, especially from in the cochlear part. Okay, vibrations of the endolymph of scala media cause the basilar membrane endolymph of the scala media cause the basilar membrane. It cause the basilar membrane to vibrate. Okay, to vibrate. To vibrate. The vibrations in the basilar membrane make the sensory hairs of receptor cells. Okay, sensory hairs of these receptor cells in the organ of Corti move in the overlying gelatinous membrane. Gelatinous membrane. Next. So the sensory hairs of receptor cells in the organ of Corti move in the overlying gelatinous membrane, that is tecturial membrane, and then get distorted. The stimulation causes depolarization of the receptor cells and initiation of nerve impulse in the fibers of auditory nerve. This stimulation leads to depolarization of the receptor cells. So the stimulation of basilar membrane, okay, helps in the depolarization of the receptor cells, right? And it further starts the nerve impulse, okay? Initiate nerve impulse. The nerve impulse travels by relay centers, that is They move by a relay center, okay, like spiral ganglion to cochlear nuclei. From cochlear nuclei, superior auditory nuclei. Okay. From here, the impulse goes to inferior colliculi. Then auditory cortex of cerebrum. Auditory cortex of cerebrum. Okay. So starting from the collection of the sound waves to external retrimators, then tympanic membrane, then ear ossicles. Ear ossicles amplify the frequency of the sound, which was 430 to 2400 cycles per second. Then it comes to fenestra ovalis. From here, it moves to scala vestibuli, then resonance membrane, then scala media, then tectorial membrane, then basilar membrane, and through it to auditory nerve, okay, and then auditory cerebral cortex. So this was the passage of sound waves, okay. Human ear can hear a frequency of 500 to 5000 hertz. Okay, it can hear the complete range of frequencies from 20 to 20,000 hertz only with intense sound. Sound energy is measured in terms of unit called decibels. Okay, depending upon that, more than 80 decibels of sound is considered to be, you know, unfavorable, unbearable for man. Okay, higher sound intensities are hazardous in causing different types of problems like mental confusion, nervous stress, irritability, increased blood pressure. Okay, the sound waves becomes very uncomfortable to normal ear at about 130 decibels, 120 decibels. Okay, so this is the normal facts. Okay, now this is about the mechanism of hearing. Now mechanism of balance, that is equilibrium. Okay, as we have discussed in the previous slides, the sound above the intensity of 80 hertz, 80 decibels is unfavorable for human ear. Okay, and it becomes very painful about 140 decibels. static equilibrium, and linear acceleration. Macula detect the changes in the head or body with respect to gravity. It also helps to detect the movement of body in one direction. Okay? As the position of the body changes, as the position of the body changes, the otoconia or the otoliths become heavier than the endolymph. The otoliths being heavier, heavy than endolymph, pressurize upon the sensory hairs of the maculae. Okay. As a result, the sensory cells gets stimulated and initiates the nerve impulse. Okay, in the auditory nerve. So it is macula which detect the changes in the head. Okay. So macula of the utricle responds to vertical movements of the head. Like nodding of head. Okay, chin up, chin down, chin down. And the macula of saccule responds to lateral. Okay. On the rapid forward movement, the otoliths become, because of having greater inertia than the surrounding endolymph, lag behind and press back the sensory hair. Okay. On rapid forward movement, otoliths being heavy also have more inertia, and that is why they lag behind and press back the sensory. Okay, press back the sensory here. Then comes the dynamic equilibrium. Cristae detect turning or rotational movements. So cristae they basically detect the rotation or the turning movements of the head. Okay, so they help in angular acceleration. When the head is turned, the endolymph in the semicircular ducts, due to its inertia, does not move. When the head is turned, the endolymph, because of its inertia, does not move. Okay. As the head, and the sensory cells of a cristae gets activated. Okay. This difference in the rate of movement, the sensory hairs of cristae are swept through the endolymph and become bent. Okay, they gets bended. This disturbance stimulates the sensory cells and set up the action potential in the fibers of the auditory nerve. So dynamic equilibrium is basically catched by cristae and the static equilibrium by the utricle, okay, or the macula. So now we are going to discuss about the some common defects of ear. First is otitis media. It is acute infection of middle ear. Then eustachiitis, inflammation of eustachian tube. Labyrinthitis disease. It is because of the malfunctioning of inner ear. Then Meniere's disease, which is the loss of hearing due to defect in cochlea. Myringitis or tympanitis, otalgia is earache. So these are the different defects related to the ear. So my dear students, we have completed the human ear, and now I will be talking about the nose, okay, and its supply, especially the blood supply and the nerve supply. So till then, bye bye, take care, stay safe, stay healthy.